As we grow older, we learn that it's not always the big things that make the biggest difference. It's the little things, done regularly, that keep us going strong. Washing your hands, yes, that's obvious. But there are a few places on the body that, if overlooked, can quietly become home to bacteria, irritation, or infection. And as we age, our skin gets thinner, our immune system slower, and our bodies a bit less forgiving. What used to be a small rash can turn into something more serious if we're not paying attention. Now, I'm not here to worry you, I'm here to help you feel well, clean, and confident. Because the simple act of gently washing a few easy-to-forget spots can actually protect your heart, your circulation, your skin health, and even reduce your risk of illness. No hard scrubbing required. Just a little warm water, a soft cloth, and a bit of mindfulness. So let's go beyond the usual advice. I've got 5 body areas that often get missed in the daily routine, fresh spots you won't find on every checklist. We'll walk through each of them together, one by one. 1. Behind the knees and the inner hamstrings, the hidden sweat traps of the lower body. Now, before you think I've gone and repeated one of the usual suspects, hear me out, because I'm not talking about the back of the knees in the typical sense. What I'm referring to is the entire hollow area behind your knees, stretching up along the inner part of your thighs, right where your hamstrings meet and crease when you sit or cross your legs. It's not a spot most of us ever really think about, especially as we get older, but it can quietly cause us problems. This area is soft, often pressed together when we sit or sleep, and it's rich with sweat glands. For those of us who spend more time seated these days, whether reading, resting, or watching the evening news, this warm, folded patch of skin can easily collect sweat, skin oils, and dead cells. If it's not gently washed daily, it can become a breeding ground for bacteria, irritation, or even fungal rashes. Now, I learned this the hard way years ago. I'd been helping my wife clean out the attic one summer, just a bit of light sorting, nothing heavy, and that evening, I noticed a strange itch behind my legs. The next morning, it looked red, shiny, and raw. I thought it might be a bug bite or allergy, but my doctor smiled kindly and said, "Nope, just a touch of sweat rash." Since then, I've paid close attention to that hidden area, and I encourage you to do the same. What makes this area tricky is that it's easy to miss, especially if your balance isn't what it used to be. But washing it doesn't have to be a gymnastics routine. When you're in the shower or using a warm washcloth at the sink, just prop your foot up on a low stool or a step, gently bend your knee, and clean the crease with a soft, damp cloth and a bit of mild soap. Pat it dry with care, no need to rub. You might even dust the area lightly with cornstarch if you tend to sweat a bit more, just to keep things fresh throughout the day. And here's a tip for the warmer months or if you sleep with your legs curled. Make sure your pajamas aren't too tight in that area. Loose, breathable fabrics help reduce moisture buildup and friction, which is especially important for those with delicate skin or diabetes. So remember, just because you can't see a spot easily doesn't mean it should be forgotten. Behind your knees and up into those soft hamstring creases, give them a little daily attention, and you'll stay cleaner, fresher, and safer. That's what we're aiming for in these golden years, small, simple habits that help us feel more at ease in our own skin. 2. The base of the thumbs and between the palms, the overlooked heart of hand hygiene. Now let's talk hands. We've all heard the reminders to wash them well, before meals, after using the restroom, coming in from outside. But even with all that repetition, there's a spot most folks still miss, right at the base of the thumbs and deep into the creases between the palms. It may sound odd, but take a moment and look at your hands right now. Spread your fingers. See those wrinkles near the thumbs? That's where dirt loves to settle, and bacteria throw a party if left alone too long. This area is busy. It grips walking canes, garden tools, doorknobs, your favorite coffee mug, and the side of the sink as you lean in to brush your teeth. And yet, when most of us wash our hands, especially as we age, we tend to focus on the fingers and the backs of our hands. We rub the palms quickly and move on. But the thumbs? They often get a polite rinse at best. And that fleshy web between your thumb and index finger? It's a quiet little harbor for germs, sweat, and soap residue alike. Now, I didn't always know this myself. Years ago, I developed what I thought was a rash on my right hand, right below the thumb. It was itchy, red, and a little sore. I figured it was from working in the yard too much, or maybe a reaction to a cleaner I'd used. But my doctor told me, it's actually from not cleaning thoroughly. That's the pressure point of your grip. It gets sweaty, and with age, your skin holds onto more than you think. That stuck with me. Here's what I do now, and what I recommend to all my neighbors and friends. When washing your hands, take a moment to rotate each thumb in the opposite palm, like you're wringing out a soft sponge. Then, lace your fingers together and rub back and forth. Finally, give some attention to the inside edges of your hands, especially the webbing between fingers and the base where your palm meets your wrist. It doesn't take long, an extra 5 seconds maybe, but it makes a world of difference. For seniors, especially those with thinner skin or conditions like arthritis, keeping this area clean and dry can prevent cracking, infection, and irritation. And since our hands are still the most frequent way we connect with the world, opening mail, petting a dog, handing a grandchild a cookie, it's worth giving them a little extra care. Dry thoroughly, too. A soft towel, not a rough one. And if your skin tends to be dry, dab on a mild lotion that doesn't leave your hands greasy. That way, you're not only clean, but comfortable. These small spots, like the base of the thumbs, may not seem like much, but they're part of the story your body tells every day. Clean hands aren't just polite, they're protective. So give those thumbs the respect they deserve. They've held a lot through the years. 3. The back of the upper arms, the quiet collector of residue and dead skin. This one might surprise you. Most of us give our underarms a good wash each day, and rightly so, but how often do we reach just a little higher and give attention to the back of the upper arms? That area between your shoulder and elbow, especially where it rounds outward and brushes against the side of your body when you move, that's the spot I'm talking about. It's not exactly a trouble zone, so we tend to ignore it, but over time, it quietly collects more than we think. Now, this patch of skin doesn't sweat as much as the underarms, but it does trap residue, leftover soap, lotion, fabric softener from sleeves, even skin flakes from natural shedding. And for those of us with limited shoulder mobility, arthritis, or simply less flexibility than we used to have, it's one of the hardest places to reach comfortably. That's why, for many older folks, it becomes a dry, sometimes bumpy patch of skin. You may not see it in the mirror, but it's there, and it's asking for just a little attention. I first noticed this on an old friend of mine named Louise. Sharp as a tack, but one day she asked if I could take a look at her arm. She said it felt rough, almost gritty. Sure enough, there was a patch of skin on the back of her upper arm that was dry and a bit irritated. "I wash every day," she said. And she did. But like many of us, she hadn't thought much about that particular spot. Out of sight, out of mind. Here's the trick I shared with her, and one I use myself now. A long-handled bath brush or a soft exfoliating washcloth looped around your hand can help you gently reach the back of your upper arms without straining your shoulders. You don't need to scrub, just a light, circular motion with warm water and a gentle cleanser is enough to remove buildup. Do this once a day, and you'll notice a real difference in how your skin feels. Softer, smoother, and less prone to irritation. Another tip? Avoid heavily fragranced body creams in this area, especially if they leave a greasy film. That can clog the skin and lead to those little red bumps you might have seen before. After washing, pat the area dry and, if needed, use a simple, non-irritating moisturizer, something meant for sensitive skin. Why does this matter for longevity? Well, clean, healthy skin isn't just about comfort, it's about protection. As we age, our skin is thinner and slower to heal. A small irritation left unchecked can become a rash, and a rash can become an infection. It's the little things that add up, and this quiet part of your body deserves a bit of care. So the next time you're in the shower or getting ready for bed, give your upper arms a moment. They've hugged loved ones, lifted groceries, steadied your balance, and worn many a good sweater. Keep them clean, keep them cared for, and they'll keep supporting you in return. 4. The growing crease where the thigh meets the torso, a spot of stillness and sweat. Now here's a spot almost no one talks about, but it's one of the most important to clean gently and regularly, especially as we age. The growing crease, right where the top of your thigh meets the lower part of your abdomen. Not quite your inner thigh, not quite your hip, and certainly not something we casually discuss at the dinner table, but this quiet fold of skin sees more moisture, friction, and trapped heat than most folks realize. This area, often referred to as the inguinal crease, is warm, soft, and spends most of the day in contact with fabric or skin. It's where sweat likes to hide. And for those of us who sit for longer stretches, reading, watching a show, or working on a puzzle, it stays tucked in, folded over, and largely ignored. But that stillness? It makes for a perfect little environment where moisture, bacteria, and even fungal growth can thrive if not cleaned properly. I had a neighbor once, Jim, a kind man who loved his crossword puzzles and spent his afternoons in a favorite recliner. One summer, he started having what he thought was a rash near his waistband. Turned out to be a bit of intertrigo, a skin condition caused by friction and moisture in this exact area. Nothing serious, but uncomfortable and very preventable. Washing this area doesn't need to be complicated or uncomfortable. While bathing, use a warm, soft cloth with a bit of mild soap. Just lift gently where the thigh meets the lower belly and clean the crease itself. No vigorous scrubbing, just a kind wipe will do. Rinse thoroughly, then take special care to dry it well. That's important. Damp skin here can easily become irritated, especially in the warmer months or when wearing tight waistbands or synthetic underwear. If you find that this area tends to stay damp or irritated, a dusting of plain cornstarch or a gentle, non-talc body powder can help absorb moisture. And here's something to consider. Loose-fitting, breathable undergarments made of natural fibers like cotton can go a long way in preventing problems here. If it's pinching or trapping heat, it's not helping you. Why does this matter? Because skin breakdown in this area can go from mild irritation to infection in a hurry. For seniors, even a small sore can become a larger issue if it's left to stew. By taking care of these hidden folds each day, you're not just staying clean, you're protecting one of the most delicate and hard-working areas of your body. This crease has supported you through decades of walking, moving, bending, and sitting. It deserves a little respect. And as with all the tips I share, it's about kindness to your body, your comfort, and your well-being. 5. The jawline and under the chin, the forgotten neckline. Now let's finish with the spot that's hiding in plain sight, right there under your chin and along the jawline. You'd think we'd all wash this area well, given how close it is to our face, but more often than not, we give it a quick splash and move on. After all, it doesn't sweat like our underarms, and it's not as exposed as our hands. But here's the truth. The jawline and under-chin area is one of the most quietly neglected zones on the body, and it's worth our daily attention. This little shelf of skin beneath the chin is where oils, sweat, shaving residue, food particles, and dead skin cells tend to gather. If you wear dentures or have a beard or sagging skin, as many of us do in our golden years, this area can trap even more. Gravity pulls everything downward, and over time, it becomes a sort of landing zone for residue. It might not look dirty in the mirror, but if you give it a gentle rub with a damp cloth, you might be surprised at what comes off. I once had a routine skin check with my doctor, and she asked if I used any lotion or shaving cream under my chin. I said yes, thinking that was the end of it. But she pointed out a few clogged pores along the jawline. Nothing serious, just a little congestion caused by residue that hadn't been properly rinsed. It happens to everyone, she said. We wash our faces, but we don't always follow through to the neck, and we almost never get under the chin. Since then, I've made it a habit. When I wash my face, I make a point to continue down past the chin and gently clean under the jawline, moving from ear to ear. I use warm water, a soft cloth, and mild soap. It doesn't take more than a few extra seconds. But the difference? Noticeable. The skin feels fresher, less itchy, and even less puffy. And for those of us with looser skin or jowls, that area can trap warmth and oils that lead to irritation if ignored. Don't forget to dry it either. Pat it gently with a towel, especially in the folds under the chin where moisture can linger. And if you use lotions or creams on your neck or face, make sure they're fully absorbed and not left sitting thick on the skin. This area, like the groin crease we talked about earlier, doesn't get a lot of airflow, and that makes it prone to holding onto things. 6. The sides of the ribs beneath the arms, where skin breathes and bacteria hides. Here's a final spot that rarely gets the attention it deserves: the sides of the ribcage, just under and behind the armpits. It's not quite the underarm, and not quite your back, more like that soft, stretchable space where your body breathes as you move, twist, or reach for something high on a shelf. And for many older adults, especially those with reduced range of motion, this patch becomes a quiet hiding place for sweat, oil, dead skin cells, and yes, bacteria. Now, why is this area so easily missed? Partly because it's a bit awkward to reach. When you're standing in the shower or washing at the sink, your arms are typically forward or down, not lifted out to the side. Add in a stiff shoulder or a twinge of arthritis in your upper back, and you can see why this space is often left to its own devices. But here's the thing: this area, right along the side of your ribs, especially just beneath the armpits and slightly toward your back, is rich with sweat glands. It's often covered by layers of clothing too: undershirts, bras, shapewear, even elastic waistbands that ride up and trap warmth. That combination of warmth, moisture, and pressure makes it a prime spot for mild irritation, skin yeast, and rashes if we're not careful. Years ago, I learned about this area from a nurse friend who worked in elder care. She told me that when seniors came in with persistent skin complaints, this was one of the first places they checked, and more often than not, it was warm, moist, and hadn't been cleaned thoroughly in a while. And not because anyone was neglectful. It's simply a place people don't think about, until it gets uncomfortable. So how do you tend to this area gently and safely? If you're showering, take a soft washcloth or sponge and slide your hand along your side from under your arm to your waist, following the curve of your ribcage. If it's easier, you can even do it while seated with a warm, damp cloth. No need for scrubbing, just a smooth, kind wipe with a little soap. Be especially gentle if you notice any redness or tenderness. Afterward, be sure to pat the area dry. A light dusting of cornstarch-based powder can help keep it fresh, especially if you're wearing layers or prone to sweating during the day. And here's something small that helps a lot: wear loose-fitting clothes that don't cling to this area. Letting the skin breathe makes all the difference. What is one small self-care habit that you have developed over the years that has made a significant impact on your health and comfort? Share your answer in the comments below this video. We'd love to read your thoughts. If you found these tips helpful, I'd be truly grateful if you'd give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more folks who want simple, thoughtful ways to feel better every day, especially in our golden years. Until next time, we wish you peace, good health, and a little more ease in every day.